So this meeting is to discuss the potential purchase of the real property located at two parcels, parcels 246DB001 and parcel 246DB002. Tonight is an opportunity for all of you to speak. Everyone is going to be allowed 3 minutes. The town clerk will keep up with your 3-minute time limit. And remind everyone, this is not a debate and question and answer period. This is an opportunity for you to speak your piece, your thoughts, and whatever you want to say in 3 minutes in regards specifically to the subject matter at hand. In the rear of the room, the northwest corner of the room, my left rear corner, on the table is a document, and on that document it states the overview of the proposed offer to purchase this property. So everyone gets to see the same exact correct information, and it shouldn't be any questions about how much and the terms, because it's on that piece of paper and everyone has an opportunity to see that. Nothing has been determined. The commissioners will make a decision later whether to go forth or not with the consideration of this purchase. So the way this is going to work tonight, because this is such a friendly town and has such good people, and we're going to have everyone to have an opportunity to speak, and we are going to try to do this informally so that everybody does have an equal opportunity and an equal amount of time. In some situations, the town requires everyone that is going to speak to sign up and register with the clerk, and we follow that list. We're not doing that. We're not required to do that in this setting. So what we are going to do, the chair, me, will recognize you, whoever you are that wants to speak, no particular order. Don't be offended if you're number 2 instead of number 1 or number 82 instead of number 3. You know, that doesn't apply. Everybody's equal. We're just going to try to get through and give plenty of people plenty of time to say whatever's on your mind about this subject in a period of time being 3 minutes. The clerk will make some noise of some sort. What are you going to do over there, Madam Clerk?
I will say time.
Time, okay. When she says time, that means thank you for experiencing this event with us. Thank you for what you have said, and thank you for being quiet from this moment on. Okay, everybody got that? If you cannot hear, if you will please raise your hand, we will ask whoever's speaking to repeat what they're saying. Whenever I recognize you as it being your turn to speak, if you would please proceed to the microphone on my right at this podium. Speak into the microphone. 2 reasons. The audience has to hear you, and the clerk has to record you. We need your name and your address spoken loudly and clearly so that it can be recorded correctly. So with that, does anybody have any procedural questions that I haven't covered? Commissioners, have I said anything that's out of line? Okay, with a clear understanding that everybody in the room knows the program and what we're here for, we hope we're going to get out of here before daylight. So otherwise, if it goes real long, we will have a few minutes to take a break, but hopefully we can move along and everybody can have a fair opportunity to speak and not be here too late. So with that, going once and twice, who would like to speak? Raise your right hand. I believe I saw the gentleman in the blue shirt. If you will come forward, sir.
I might need an extra 30 or 40 seconds, if that's okay.
No, sir. 3 minutes.
My name's Tom Myers. I live at 301 Ocean Boulevard West. I'm also the president of the Holden Beach Properties Owners Association. HBPOA solicited input from our membership, received a lot of well-thought-out responses. I hope you read them. In case you didn't, I will summarize them now. The pier building is currently used as the office for the campground with a counter for collecting fees from people going onto the pier. The cafe has been closed for more than a year. There's also some arcade games, drink and ice vending machines. If your desired outcome is to preserve everything as is, that simply means staffing someone behind the counter to collect money and oversee the arcade and vending machines. The building was built in 1960. It's not compliant with current building codes. It also has potential environmental issues associated with a grease pit among its septic tanks in the front yard. The tax value of the building is less than $100,000. So if you're limited to 50% of that amount for improvements, you won't be able to do much of anything, possibly not even install bathrooms. If the plan is to have a decent restaurant, wedding venue, or some other nice attraction, the building will have to be torn down. This would put the town into the property development, property management business. If the plan is just to save the pier itself, there are things you can do as a town government to make that happen without buying it. You can give incentives to private developers who will commit to keeping the pier, maintaining it, allowing public access. You can give them tax breaks, other incentives, just give them money. Cities in North Carolina do this all the time to collect the business they want to come to their town. If the plan is for parking, there are a lot of other properties on the island that are better suited. Commercial oceanfront property is the most expensive land you can buy for property. Block Q would provide twice the parking spots for less than half the cost. If the plan is just to provide beach access, then just buy the land you need for the access. If the seller won't negotiate in good faith, use your power of eminent domain to condemn the property, take it, and give the seller fair market value. Eminent domain and condemnation is the same tactic the town used on oceanfront property owners who refused to sign the easement for Central Reach. I think it's fair to say everyone would like to keep the pier. The question is, at what cost? Debt service of $250,000 equates to almost 10% of our annual property tax revenues. If you include insurance, staffing, operating and maintenance, needed repairs, that amount could easily double. If we're using B-Part funds, the accommodation tax revenues are roughly the same as property tax. So once again, we're looking at obligating 20 to 25% of our B-Part revenue just for the pier. These expenses are not included in the 2021-22 budget that was just passed and is effective starting last week. So you either need to reduce the current budget expenses to cover these amounts or increase taxes, 20 to 25%, or take even more money out of savings in addition to the $1.2 million that you've already appropriated. Please don't blindly jump into this without knowing what these costs will be. It would be irresponsible.
Thank you, sir. For the record, are you speaking for Tom Myers or, okay, not,
I can summarize what we received from the HBQA. I'm not speaking on behalf of the HBQA, but this was given to us. These are all my ideas.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure I understand it. Thank you. Next. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Haskell Cow, and I'm a resident of 120 Charlotte Street. My wife and I have been property owners here since 1995. I've made many day trips to Holden Beach as a child dating back to the 1960s and 1970s. I've rented houses here prior to owning a home. I understand the different groups of beach goers that are special public beach servants, and I want to ensure that our beach remains accessible for the residents, homeowners, and tourists. We have benefited for many years from the generosity of the Bass family for allowing public access through their property. This access also serves as emergency vehicle entrance to the beach, which helps with emergency calls, beach patrols, and renourishment projects. We may never have another opportunity to purchase a piece of property like this. And I think that's very important. In my travels, I've gone to like Florida and you see so many other beaches have oceanfront beach accesses. We have, I'm just paraphrasing from what I've seen, one of the few beaches with very, very limited beach accesses. I believe it would be the best interest of the town to purchase this property from the current owners to ensure access for the public to visit this area of the beach. If the access were closed, it would be greatly reduce the accessibility to the beach for the homes in the area, as well as the day beach goers who utilize public parking areas. The general store and salt peddler may also allow access to the beach from their properties, and their current setup is not equipped for emergency vehicle use. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. All right, yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Steve McManus. My family and I live at 136 Charlotte Street. My family has been coming to Holden Beach for over 25 years. Part of our annual trip included visits to the pier with my young children. While many families come to lay on the beach, there are many, many more that also visit the pier. While this isn't my cup of tea any longer, I feel strongly that this Holden Beach icon must remain for future generations to enjoy. Without it, we are just a one-road beach town lined with houses and condos with no character whatsoever, and one less attraction to offer visitors. Let me remind you, vacationers are the lifeblood of Holden Beach. As you know, the pier opened in 1960 and has been a Holden Beach landmark ever since. To pass on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is both shameful and nearsighted. Years ago, there was a putt-putt on the beach at Charlotte Street. We had free public access through that location. When that went away, Gil was generous enough to grant free public and emergency access bordering the RV park. Well, that free ride is now gone as well. Some prior town council deemed it necessary to have both public and emergency access at this location, and we were fortunate enough to get a free ride. It's now time for the town to do the right thing and finally get permanent town-owned access. Eliminating this access will create a 0.9-mile gap between beach access points along the city's canals on an island that is essentially 6.5 miles long, not counting the gated communities, basically creating a 1-mile private beach. By contrast, the other canals have access points of 0.15 to 0.2 miles apart, or basically a 1.5 block walk, which is equal to the distance some of you on this council now enjoy. By comparison, Oak Island has public access at every block, Ocean Isle every 0.2 miles, and this will severely affect beach access for Burlington, Durham, Charlotte, and especially Greensboro streets. As an advertised family beach, families come to Holden Beach to go to the beach. Those families with wagons pulling young kids and all their beach gear aren't going to rent a house where they have to walk a half mile or a mile to get to the beach. You will significantly hurt these homeowners' abilities to rent their houses, and the town will lose the rental tax on those homes. So please be leaders and do the right thing for the long term of Holden Beach. Purchase the property as proposed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? Not everybody at once. Yes, sir.
My name, excuse me, my name is Lynn Holden, and I live on 110 Mullet Street. It's been a hard decision. I thought, give it a lot of thought. I've known Gil Bass ever since Janet brought him down here about 40 years ago. And I've known the Small family ever since they came here, too. And I might mention that I worked at the fishing pier when they first opened it, the first 2 falls for 50 cents an hour. But my reason for speaking tonight, is that one better? Okay. My reason for speaking tonight is not anything about Gil Bass and his family. Gil Bass has been a real asset with his family to Holden Beach for years, and I don't think anybody knows Gil Bass will refute that. He's been with the town and the board, and he's done lots of things, and even his father-in-law was very helpful in the development of Holden Beach. So that's not the thing that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned as a taxpayer that it's not the best long-term thing to do. I don't think Holden Beach needs to own a pavilion and a pier. My reason is, the ones of y'all that live on the oceanfront houses, you know how the expense it is to maintain that oceanfront house. And these figures that I'm going to throw out are not numbers crunched by some accountant, it's my estimate. But when I throw these numbers out, it makes me wonder why we would do this. And the main reason are these numbers. That pier, if you insure that pier, you're talking about, I would think, $100,000 a year to insure that pier. If you insure that pavilion down there, I think you're talking about $25,000 a year. And then when you look at the other expenses, you're going to have to change that air conditioning system every 4 years. They don't last any longer than that on the front. And then you add the annual maintenance of that fishing pier, you add the annual maintenance of that pavilion, and the annual maintenance of that parking lot, and it is a lot of money. The people who only have one lot, it's not so expensive. But if you own more than one lot, it gets very expensive over a period of time. So that's the main reason that I think we don't need to go in that. And you might think also, if somebody could buy it and make money, they would have already bought it. And you can also think, nothing against this town does a great job, and some of these people are great. All of them, really. But, excuse me, I make a misstep every now and then. But in general, private enterprise can do a better job than the government. And if the private enterprise can't make money on it or make it even, then the town is not, even though we've got these good people. And that's the reason that I oppose it. Is that my 3 minutes? That's mighty quick. I didn't get that far. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Who's next?
Guess I'll step up. My name is Keith Smith. I'm at 105 Durham Street, directly across from the pier. My wife and I purchased that property. We're in our mid-50s, and we decided to forego grandchildren and to adopt. And so we adopted 3 at-risk kids while we lived in the state of Kentucky. I grew up in Carolina Beach, caught my first fish on the Carolina Beach Pier. I learned overcome my fear of heights on the Carolina Beach Pier, walking between boards. They seemed to be spaced a little further back then. Those 3 girls, I'm not going to say they deserve a pier, but it was in our decision when we purchased this place. It's a small town. It's a community. I mean, I believe there's a big sign when you come off the beach with kids holding little plaques that says, "Welcome to Holden Beach, the family beach." Since the summer just began just a few short weeks ago, my kids have probably made 20 friends, 20 little girls, 20 little boys that have visited from different parts of the country and made Holden Beach their home for a week. And that was their home for a week. And I'm sure some of those will come back next year. So, the pier, it really doesn't make financial sense. It absolutely does not. It's going to be a money pit. My house is a money pit. I mean, I've got a house in Winnebago. It doesn't take near the work that this one's going to take. But I didn't buy it because it was economical. I bought it because it was at the beach. I bought it because I thought these 3 little girls should grow up in a beach community. I wanted them to have the sand between their toes and not just have that memory 1 week a year. And so they're just 3 little girls. And the pier, if it goes away, they'll survive. Dear Lord, we live on an island. We'll be okay. But think about the thousands and thousands of kids that come here every year. They'll never give you a penny for it, but their parents will, and their grandparents will. And then when they get old enough, guess who's going to inherit my house? Those 3 girls. So it's not just about does it make financial sense. I know we got to pay bills. I get all that. Carolina Beach has a state park funded by the state. So maybe there's a joint. From my understanding tonight, it's just should you move forward with it, just to review it, right? It's not a decision tonight. I think we should look and see if there's some public and private partnerships that we could do out there. That's a great place for a restaurant. I mean, if not, we've got to trek a whole 2 miles down to this one. First world problems, right? It is what it is. But those 3 girls, they represent way, 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 way more than just themselves. Just in 2-3 weeks, since summertime hit, 20 friends. So multiply that for the summer, and they're 7, 8, 9. So I got, what, another 10, 12, 14 years? Of course, my older daughter, she moved back because we moved to the beach, so, or maybe they'll never leave, I don't know. So it's not always about money.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? Come on, sir.
My name is John Pierce, 123 Burlington. Been a visitor for 30-plus years and recently moved down here full-time. What great comments. I mean, the comments are just so good. And I'm sitting there shaking my head, agreeing with one person, and the next minute I'm agreeing with the guy that said something different. And I think that my thoughts could be summarized in a sign that's at the entrance to the beach, the family beach. And this may sound a little odd to some of you, but I believe that that family beach concept, which has been talked about a lot, is certainly the reason my wife and I moved down here, and reason that many of you, if not all of you, came here and stay here. The family is under assault, okay? The sign that we have out there is a welcome call for all those. So it's a light. Come try to take this away. I know some of you think it's crazy, but the family is under assault. This is one of the few places, as the gentleman said, that you can go and enjoy a family environment. And like I say, over 30 years I've been watching it. I'm concerned about that more than anything. The comment about it's more than money, yeah, it's a fine line there, and we have to balance it. And I think the town has balanced it over the years quite well. So my input is that the memories, nobody in this room, no one, not even you, Alan, are taking anything with you when you leave. We're not. I know that's an old phrase, but we're not taking it. But the memories, I see the photographs going on, the memories we will take with us, and as a Christian man, I don't mind saying that, and I believe I can say it here, it is much more than just the money. Now, the money has to be dealt with, and I don't know the answer to that. I think we're evaluating things, and I agree with what's been said about we just can't throw money just into a hole. But my boat's a money pit, my house probably is too, and for the memories, it's worth it to me to try to maintain it. You guys done a good job, everyone here has done a good job through the years, and I support making the purchase, depending on how the analysis comes out.
Thanks, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Terry Watson, Brownlee, 113 Charlotte Street, and I will give a disclaimer. I called my dad before I came over to talk about this because he's the property owner and he's the one that pays the bills. So I'm coming from a standpoint of emotion and from just tradition. I've been coming to Holden Beach all of my life. In fact, my grandparents used to rent the Hobbs Realty house when it was a house for rent. And fished at the pier with my grandfather. Had brought my kids here, fished at the pier. In fact, my daughter, a couple of summers ago, called my parents and said, hey, guess what? She was down at Myrtle Beach, came through Holden on her way home, and got a job at Provision, and called my parents and said, can I live in your beach house for the summer? And the first thing she did was to go out on that pier and catch a fish and send us a picture. So I think it's an important part of our history at Holden Beach, and it would be sad for me to see that go. And I understand the financial part of it, and that's why I called my dad before I came to say that, because right now it's his pocketbook. But it will be mine soon, and I support the city doing whatever they need to do to preserve that memory and keep it for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, looking for somebody else. I see a hand. I can't see a face. Now I see a face.
My 3 minutes start when I'm I'm Johnny Craig, 128 Halstead Street. Lynn, you worked at the pier for 50 cents an hour. I worked there for $1.25 an hour. I feel a lot better about myself. Gotcha. Very briefly, I commend y'all tonight for considering purchasing the property that is the subject of this hearing tonight. This is indeed an incredible opportunity to purchase, obtain, and preserve such a treasure of the property that you're looking at tonight. Looking at the Holden Beach land use plan, there's a statement in there, and it deals with a statement from CAMA, or Coastal Area Management, as you know. It says, CAMA considers public access facilities to be one of the key components of a coastal community's infrastructure. That's a good base right there. Good point to remember. As well, also, they mentioned that the town should consider to further their goal of maximizing and maintaining public access areas. And this is not Johnny Craig, this is the land use plan. As well as talking about the land use plan, public access and recreation opportunities. It recommends that you as the town should continue to identify ways to improve existing access sites as well as improving handicap access areas. And also there is a need, the land use plan says a need for continued public parking. Parking including cars, golf carts, which are really getting popular, and bicycles. And this is parking not just for visitors, but residents, folks that live here as well. So just some points to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Craig.
Thank you.
Who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Anita Haggerty, 314 Sand Dune Lane. We're all for it. I just wanted to say that, there's a lot of landlocked homes on this island, and this gives people that are landlocked the opportunity to go out on the pier and do their fishing, where normally that would be done on the beach during bathing hours, and people get upset about that. So that's just one of the other things to take into consideration. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Larry Bloom, 108 Lions Paw. I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. If you decide that you want to purchase this land, and you do, I thought of a money raising, at least maybe one or two different types of money raising options. I know the last time I was out on the pier, Gil was charging $1 per person to go out walking on the pier. Well, you could sell family plan cards or something like that for like 100, 200, 300, whatever the amount is, for people, for a whole family to have unlimited access to that. So that's one option. Another option would be maybe issuing yearly fishing licenses for people who want to go out there and fish. So you'd have to structure it yourselves, obviously, to allow whether it be a lifetime plan to walk out, or a yearly plan to walk out on the pier, or to fish, or whatever. So it's just an option.
Thanks, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Elaine Jordan, 124 Sand Dollar. I hear a lot of things tonight about history, and I appreciate all of that. What I think, though, is that families live within their means. And the problem we have here is the cost that's going to be involved. When you look at property ownership, we as lawyers, we learn it's a bundle of rights. It's not just you own the whole thing. There could be lots of things. We could own just an easement. We could buy just access. we could do lots of things, and it seems that this town, what we're doing now is we're going first toward purchase as opposed to looking at all the other alternatives that we might have to achieve the goals of continuing to have a pier, perhaps having more parking, having the access that people discuss. I think that those alternatives should be explored first as opposed to the fee simple ownership. Philosophically, I have a problem with private enterprise should be held privately, not by towns. So that's my overarching philosophy. Taking it off the tax rolls, I think that's a huge problem, which pulls us back to families live within their means. I hope that we consider, I would object to buying the property. I hope that we look at all alternatives before buying fee simple. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Who's next? Yes, sir.
My name is Tony Marwitz. I live at 118 Frigate. I don't want to get involved in the money. You guys know more about that than I do. I trust you to work it out. The things I do want to think about are, we got a chance, the town has a chance to get some beach access. We're not making any more of that. Who knows what it's going to be worth in the future, and we need to take advantage of it when we can. I think you can work it out, but worst possible case, later on you sell it, and you'd probably sell it at a profit, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's a good move for the town to acquire it. I think there are ways you can work the money out. My biggest fear is the town doesn't buy it, and who does? What are they going to put there? If the town has it, we have a lot more control over what goes up there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Oates, and I reside at 106 Greenville Street. I've heard a lot of things said here tonight, and I understand both sides of this, I think. The things I am concerned about is the things the man just mentioned about beach accesses. You know, from right there at Raleigh Street all the way to the firehouse, there is no beach accesses that I'm aware of. This would give us that opportunity to put in those beach accesses for the people between Greenville Street and on further down, actually, too. But it's such a good deal, I just don't see how we can pass it up. If I just did my math right, it's about $464,000 off an oceanfront lot. And it's my understanding the last few that have sold have been right at $600,000. And there's just been two listed on the oceanfront for about a little over $700,000. So I don't know where it's going to end. So I think it's a good investment. Is it going to cost us some money? Yes. And I came from Greensboro itself, and we've got a coliseum there that we call the White Elephant. But, you know, we keep investing in it. We've got city parks everywhere. You know, those places aren't necessarily supposed to make money. So if the town can come up with some solutions to pay for this and also to where it's not such a drain, I almost see it as a no-brainer that we need to move forward with it. So I am in very much favor of it. I think it's a great deal for the town, and I'd hate to see us pass it up. And my kids, like this gentleman here, my kids grew up on this beach, coming here every summer, and the experiences and the times we had on the pier are just, you know, too fond to ever forget. And there's going to be other times that other people are going to have that same opportunity if we do purchase it. So I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, sir. Next, anyone? Yes, sir.
My name is Ken Rogers. I came to Holden Beach first in 1970 and have been coming here almost every year since then. And this beach has had a tremendous impact on 4 generations in my family tree.
I want us to respect the past. We have a rich history that we need to protect and market. I think we also need to plan for the future. And that means dreaming dreams, making those dreams a reality, and finding a way to bring those dreams into fruition, to completion. I think we, as a town, are chartered to provide services. We've done a pretty good job with that in the past, but we could do a better job providing services in the future. And I say that because they're not making any more beaches. We are noted to be a family beach. And I'm here tonight because I want us to protect that. I want it to be a family beach 50 years from now and 100 years from now. So, I think this is a good move, but it's only a first step. It's a baby step for me. We can bring the pier up to standards. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's going to cost. But everything that I buy costs. And everything I buy today costs more than it did 10 years ago. I think we also need, in this location, not only a pier, but a first-class restaurant. We need to provide parking, and that would help address that issue. But I think we also need to provide other services. Services that will attract families, services that will enhance our reaching out to young people and giving them an experience that would be good to them. So, let's do it. Let's put together a council that manages this project. There's enough brain power on this island to do all the work that I'm talking about. All we got to do is figure out who's retired and who's living here with the experiences. Let's pursue grant money. Let's generate income from services. And let's involve all of the property owners on this island. Those who are investors like I am, but those who are property owners because they love this place. So, let's do it. Not only these properties, not just these properties under consideration, but that whole strip. So that 10 years from now, we can say, we did it.
Thank you, sir. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Regina Martin. I reside at 1032 Ocean Boulevard West, Holden Beach. Other than Alan and Lynn, I may be one of the oldest people that's come to this beach over the years. There may be a few of you that might be older, but my family came here because this was a family beach, and we came in 1961. I, like Lynn, also worked at the pier for 50 cents an hour. And I was thrilled to get that 50 cents. I loved it. I loved the relationships I built there. I loved the family that managed the pier at the time. And I can tell you that probably hundreds of thousands of people and children have come to that pier. They have learned to fish at that pier. They have built relationships over the years with the staff that's changed over the years at the pier. But I believe if you're going to have a family beach, you've got to have a fishing pier. Our neighbors have fishing piers. One was just redone over, I believe, at Oak Island, Yopon area. Mostly done with grant money. We have been exceedingly successful at this town in getting grant money. So there is absolutely no reason we can't afford to buy that pier, rehab it, and have it for all the generations. There's 4 generations of my family that have used that pier thus far. And there will probably be another couple, because I'm not planning on going anywhere for a bit. But I do believe we should move forward with this purchase. I believe it only makes sense, and like someone else said, if we don't buy it, we're going to miss an exceedingly great opportunity. And if we lose it, who knows what's going to go there. So please, please take that into consideration. You all have an awesome task before you to make this decision, but I hope you will make the right decision and you will purchase this pier.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Shannon Atsina. I own 143 Marlin Drive with my husband, Jim. I love this beach, and I'm going to probably cry when I talk about it. My grandparents, Audrey and Frank Krieger, owned on Lions Paw. I've been coming to this beach since I was 5 years old, and I love it so much that I convinced my husband, who was born and raised in California in a 5-mile circle all of his life, to come out here and retire with my crazy, nutty self, okay? I love it that much. And I have been here for 40 years of my life on this beach, coming every year, and brought my children, and I'm hoping that I can get them to bring their children. It's where my soul is. I'm not kidding. I love this beach. But with that said, we have to be financially responsible as well. And it just worries me. Okay, when my grandparents' house came up for sale, I didn't buy it. Do I regret it? No, not at this moment, because I didn't have the resources to do it. And when we were able to retire and were able to come out here and buy our own property, we did so within our own financial structure and agreement with each other, because we needed to be financially independent and be able to keep retired and not have to worry about our finances. And I don't want my children to worry about my finances, and I don't want them to worry about, if they get to come up on this beach and buy my house, what this potentially could cost us. So with that said, I wanted to focus a little bit on these details, because I'm also a real estate agent. I know you're going to love this. Commercial contracts and negotiations, from my experience, not as a commercial agent, but as a real estate agent, take time. They take a lot of time. And the due diligence period to investigate this property, to investigate how we can possibly remodel it, and get the people who need to come out and inspect it for structural or possible asbestos or whatever it is that might be on this property, is going to take time. And right now, we're at July, the beginning of, and if we're looking at only 3 months of due diligence, I think that's a little short. I had 45 days on my property, and I still almost ran out of time. And this is a big property that we need to really investigate and make sure that it's worth what we are thinking about doing. I'm not against the purchase. I'm against rushing into this, because we have a lot of memories on this beach and a lot of things that we love about this beach. I think that we need to be financially responsible to our city, to our children, to our grandchildren that are going to come up and enjoy this beach. And I don't want them to be strapped with a financial issue possibly in the future. Okay? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, looking for someone to speak. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Dave Keach. My wife and I own a house at 231 Lois Avenue here on the island. We've been vacationing here for 15, 16 years, and we decided to buy here 6 years ago. Actually, we bought 15, 16 years ago. We just decided to live here 6 years ago. We love this island. We want it to be a family beach too. I am a commercial realtor for 33 years,
and I think we have to be fiscally sound. I'm not against buying the pier, but Pat said we'll make it net zero through grants, through income, and that's what I want to see. I don't want to see taxes go up.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? There's a lot of smart people in the room. I wish you'd share your knowledge and thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sylvia Paid. I live at 264 Ocean Boulevard West. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Myrtle Beach, and I had never heard of Holden Beach. How you could live in Myrtle Beach and never have heard of Holden Beach, I don't know. We knew about Calabash, but we didn't know about Holden. But first time I ever came across the bridge was in 1991, and I thought I had died and went to heaven. That is the most beautiful view when you come across that bridge. I don't fish on the pier. I like to fish in the boat, because I don't like getting my poles all tangled up with everybody else's. But I think my husband and I own the second oldest house at Holden Beach. My family have had that house since 1968. And I don't know how much she made, but I know my sister-in-law worked at the fishing pier. I'll have to ask her how much she made an hour. But we have our own private access directly across the street from us. So I understand and appreciate that fact. I understand that a lot of you don't have that privilege, especially those of you that are on Burlington and Raleigh and Salisbury and all those streets that front the pier. I think you should purchase the property, but I think you should, as a couple other people just before me said, I think you need to do some more investigation about it to make sure we aren't getting into a hole, but I really think you should purchase all the property. I mean, because we don't need just the two pieces in the middle, we need all those on each side of it as well. So I would just like to ask you to, kind of go with a little bit of caution. I know you are going to have that due diligence period. I'm a realtor too, so I know what they're talking about. It does take a little bit of time to do that investigation, and you're looking at a big project that's got to have a lot of input and looking at the structure and, the condition of the property and those kinds of things. But, as I said, we've been here for a long time, and I'd like to see the pier stay. Our neighbors, like we said, to the left and right of us, they all have piers, and that's kind of a part of the whole orientation of the family-oriented beach. We want to stay family-oriented. So I would support the project, but I say buy the whole thing.
All right, someone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Beverly Compton, and I live at 1317 Ocean Boulevard West. I'm a director on the Holden Beach property owners, and I'd just like to say that what Tom reported was exactly what the whole organization received as comments, and I think he's probably sent it on to you as a town members too. During our last town's land use process, two people, me and one other person, wanted a pier. Many other projects were more important to that group of people. And I know that people like to look ahead to the future too, and that's what the land use exercise was really for. So I personally support a pier. But I don't really know how you're proceeding when I have heard that the purchase would be financed possibly by revenues generated by the property coupled with available grant money, resulting in no property tax implications. But of course, there's no guarantee. I guess I and probably others too would like to be more convinced that this could happen. I don't know the details of that. I just take that comment as one I heard. So probably if it were for me, I would want like an investment group to take it over or something. But the town could control it. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that, and I think there's a good case to be made to persuade people what exactly that cost is and exactly how it could not have an impact on our taxes. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Zach Current. I live at 308 Brunswick Avenue West. And just to kind of piggyback on all these more eloquent people, there's been some great comments from the public. But the reason I showed up and what I'm looking for going forward is just you had mentioned the process of how we came to where we are now, what the plans are for the additional parcels, what's that going to look like. And I think, speaking for myself and the talks I've had around town, people just want to know that this is a good deal. And what's going on with the other parcels, that there's no cronyism, there's nothing fishy going on here. You know, so as far as the process goes, I'm interested in what's been played out, and then I know the town benefits. There's no doubt about it. This is awesome, you know. The pier is, man, it's sick. I wanted to go down there today to see if there were any kids jumping off the end with their surfboards, you know, like I love that place. But you know, what's going on with the other parcels? How are these deals going down? What's really the plan? And we can talk about the numbers that play into it, but for me and my family, I want to feel good about what the town's doing, that it is in the best interest of the town and not the individuals that could benefit or going to benefit more or anything like that. That would turn this thing sour, you know? So I'm interested in the process, and I know I speak for a lot of people down there at 300 block, the exact same vein. All right?
Thanks, sir. Anyone else?
I'm Amy Archer, and I live at 124 Durham Street. I've been coming to Holden Beach since I was 8 years old, and the pier was a big part of my life. And that saying, build it, they will come, I believe that. I do believe, and I am for the purchase of the pier, but I believe we should buy the whole part. Don't leave anything behind. We can make it happen. We can get the pay for parking. You can keep the campground, raise the price. People will come. Don't miss out on the opportunity for somebody else to come in here and do something with it. It's part of our town, and we need to keep it. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? All the way in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Karen Dodd, and I live at 111 Fayetteville Street. And my family has had property on this lovely beach since the late 70s. And I'd say we're now considering making this our permanent home. But I do appreciate all of your efforts and what you go through. But I do have a few concerns, and one is, how will this purchase benefit the property owners? How will the debt service be handled without raising taxes? Is there a plan? What basically, I think we all need more information of what you really are wanting to do with the property. And maybe, I'm not for or against, but we just need more information. I am concerned we still have some infrastructure problems on this island. I don't know if there is a plan right now, but we do have a problem, which is Gen X, which is in our water. And I don't know if any of you, but I do not drink the water from my tap at this point. Is there a plan to take care of that? The main roads have not been really maintained real well. I think it's been maybe 15 years since the roads have been paved. I know that is a state problem and issue, but yet I think we do need to be on and try to maintain some of the basic services that the town needs to keep us in the level that we would like to stay and keep growing. As I say, I just think we need more information of what your plan and and how this is going to be developed and how we will support it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's next? Back there in the far left, see a hand, I can't tell who it is. All right.
Tony Jordan, 107 Burlington Street. My grandfather told my mother years ago, there's one thing they're not making any more of, and that's land. And they're not making any more oceanfront. And so the pier is there, the pier exists at this point. And if we ever thought about purchasing other property to replace that, and I know it's not the complete basis for this being a family island, but it is part of it. My parents bought on the mainland in the mid-'70s. And whenever my wife and I decided to retire 3 years ago, we were talking about living on the mainland. But we decided, no, we're going to live on the island. Why do you save all your life? Just live on the island. And we have enjoyed living across from the pier, the access that property affords us, but the opportunity to be on the pier. Before I retired, my circle of friends was basically at the golf course. I've played about 8 times since I've moved here. My circle of friends is on that pier. I see children, as many of you have attested to, that comes out there and enjoys that pier. Little children out there catching fish and just getting a thrill. Parents, grandparents, I'm the 4th generation, not the 4th generation, my grandchildren are the 4th generation to enjoy this beach. I would highly encourage that we buy the pier, but I agree with several that have raised some thoughts in my mind tonight concerning how we're going to pay for it, but the information, if we could be more flowing with the information, I think that there would be more support. So please take that under advisement. But thank you for the job you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I saw a couple of other hands. Yes, sir.
Good evening, and thanks for having us. Brian Derrico, 137 Charlotte Street, and I've heard the conversation around being fiscally responsible. I bought our house over the telephone about 6 months ago, and it was the best mistake I ever made. Candidly speaking, 20 years ago, my wife and I got married. We never thought we'd be able to have a place at the beach. We lived in Virginia Beach at the time. We looked at homes by the water. It was like just a dream. Never thought we got married. We had $1,000 in our bank account, $3,000 in bills. Okay, so never been here. Shannon's never been here. This is a special place. I agree with the folks that have said, listen, you can't make more land. This is a no-brainer for the town. We can figure this out. It is a no-brainer. I've heard from others, buy the whole thing. If you don't want to, and I can get that price, I'm happy to pitch in. I mean, honestly, this is a great deal for the town. You should do it. I thought about this. There's 3 things I wanted to say, and those 3 things are buy it, buy it, buy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thought I saw another hand right in there somewhere a while ago. All right. Anyone else in the room want to speak? Mr. Brown said it was okay for you to speak, sir.
Hi, my name's Steve Wykowski. Yes, I'm her husband. We live at 1298 OBW. I don't always agree with her on everything. This pier thing is, you know, you buy it or not. What I'm hearing from most people, I think they just want to see numbers. Something that, what's going to be the cost outlay? What are we going to have to do to whatever, if we have to improve the pier and everything else and around it? And how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to make money off of it, or at least break even? I think if you presented that, most people would, you know, have a better understanding of what's going on here, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. All right. Who's next? Not until everybody has to speak, opportunity to speak. Yes, sir.
So my name is Stan Dodd. I live at 111 Fayetteville Street, which you just heard my wife speak just a minute ago. A couple things to follow up from that. And these are just concerns. And the biggest is a little bit of background in some of the real estate business myself. 3 months can't be done. Not correctly, not adequately. If you're going to do this, you need to take that time and set it aside. If it could be done that fast, if it was this good of a deal, somebody else would have already done it. This pier's been for sale for a long time. And I appreciate the fact of what everyone says here about the emotion of being here. My kids are a third generation here. I get it. But do this fiscally and be it responsibly. You own, you meaning the town, if I'm right, own about 10 properties in the 800 block. You've got a property in the 700 block, something on Delane Street. I mean, I'm looking at 10, 12, 14, 15 different pieces of property the town owns. What are we doing with them? Are they going to be used to off-sell and offset the cost of this? There are ways to do this, maybe, but take your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? If not, I'm going to ask the commissioners. I think we have 1 or 2 people that have asked to be heard again. What's the pleasure of the board? Open up for 3 more minutes. Anybody, whether you've spoken or not, you are allocated 3 more minutes once you're recognized by the chair. So anyone want to speak again? Yes, sir. No, sir. We got to record your valued comments. Tell us your name again and speak into the microphone, please.
Again, Steve McManus, 136 Charlotte Street. I guess from a personal standpoint, you know, the pier is one thing, but for those of us in the city's canals, like I said before, I just want to reiterate, you're talking about a 9, 10, almost a mile stretch with no beach access. That is a long, long ways on a 6.5 mile beach. I didn't spend a ton of money. You know, if that's $8 million, there's probably $60 million worth of real estate that it's impacting, probably more. Okay? All the other canals, 1/10 of a mile, a 1.5 block walk. For me, it'll be 0.55 miles to get to the beach. For you poor people on Greensboro, it's a mile to walk to get on the beach. That is shameful that anyone on the board would advocate for that. I mean, that's unconscionable to me. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands. I get the pier, I get it, but the beach access is of utmost importance because we are a beach. We come here to go to the beach. I'm not going to drag little kids to the beach a half a mile, spend, an hour, 2 hours on the beach, hot, tired, and drag them a mile back home. I invite all of you to come to my house, bring your grandchildren, bring a wagon, and walk with me to the next access. I invite everyone on the council. 136 Charlotte Street. Call me in advance. I'm serious, and I will meet you there so you understand the impact of not providing for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
My name is Lynn Holden. I want to make 2 points I didn't make. Gil Bass is giving the town an excellent bargain. I didn't get to say that. I wouldn't sell it that cheap if I owned that property.
We know that.
That's one point. The other point I'd like to make is when you pay your county taxes, you take one sheet of paper and you can write down everything we get from the county on those taxes on that one sheet of paper without any problem. You think about it, very few of you have children going to school in Brunswick County. We pay for our policemen. We pay for the fire department. We take care of our water. We pay for everything. And you look at your county taxes that you pay, especially if you're on that ocean front, see what you send the county and say, what am I getting for that? I think the county should be paying a big portion of this because the majority of the people that's going to be using this parking are coming from over there. Now, the gentleman says we need access, no doubt. They're all correct. But I think the town needs to pursue getting the county to do something for Holden Beach right now. I've been teed off for a long time. The town pays for all of our showers, all these public restrooms, buys all this property for parking. Those people are coming from over there. There's nothing wrong with that. But the county gets all this taxes, and they give us nothing. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Even if you want round two?
I'll take round two. First one was kind of emotional. So at the end of the day, I got to pay for my kids to eat, and if y'all take more of it, I won't have it. So I'm all for fiscally responsible. My wife and I have been fiscally responsible for the last, I think you moved in after I did. I got here in November. April, yeah. So you're a rookie. No, we love the beach, but we budget out. We're going to have to put a new roof on. I'm praying for a storm. I've got good insurance. But I bought it with a bad roof, so we have some money in the budget for that. So, but at the end of the day, we do have to be responsible. I'm not forsaking emotion. Like I said, my kids will be fine whether the pier's there or not. But man, what would it cost me to have them in another place? What would it cost if you lost the pier? I mean, and maybe I'm just one. Maybe I'm the only one out of the 1,000 people that live here. Maybe I'm the only one that would. Maybe 2,000 people. Maybe I'm
20-some hundred homes.
20-some hundred homes. Okay, but over half of those are rentals, right?
598 permanent residents.
Thank you. I didn't know we could ask questions. I'm just saying.
Hey, I was his school teacher, and I didn't do a very good job.
Oh, okay. I got that. Does that time come off of my time, or is he his own 3 minutes? No, I want to echo everybody else. I think, we need to, I don't think the question is whether we should buy it or not. Really, I don't think that's the question. I think the question is, let's move on. Let's see how much it's going to cost to purchase it. I think the timeline is a little aggressive. I think if, are we going to be able to extend that? I met Mr. Bass, luckily, one time. Me and my girls met him. great man. He remembered Hurricane Hazel in the parking lot that they bought, and the time that he spent here, and he was very fondly of his father-in-law that made that purchase, and so I think he's got a great opportunity here to hand it over to something that'll keep it alive. And so I'd like to see my kids, like I said, they're 6, 7, and 8, it's the youngest ones, and I'd like to see them, 20 years from now, be taking their kids to that same pier and catching their first fish. And so I don't know if I want them jumping off the end with a surfboard, but especially when y'all extend it out, back where it was. But I'm just saying, Oak Island's pier is real nice. They had fireworks and everything. Only thing we got was this big old sign saying, "You light it, you write it." But so I don't know. No, we can have fun, and listen, that's why we moved here, is to have fun. Listen, last board meeting I was in Radcliffe, Kentucky, which is right by Fort Knox. There was not a short in the building. Everybody was in jeans and uniforms. So I love this lifestyle. I love getting out. I stood out there this morning in the middle of a tropical storm, whatever it was. And I just sat there and enjoyed the breeze. This is what I moved here for. And I got my kids out on the front deck, and I said, "Hey, what are y'all?" And they're like, "What are we doing?" I said, "You're just experiencing the beach." So.
Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Just one more time, please just take your time. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Shannon Atsina, 143 Marlin Drive. I just implore you to take your time with this. I'm not against it. I'm not. I feel like it's been an eyesore for a long time, and I would love to see it like Ocean Isles. I think it's beautiful, and I go past it and I get happy, and I think I see a lot of potential. However, I want y'all to take your time, and I think you should. And like I said, commercial real estate moves at a little bit slower pace, and I just really want to see that pace slow down a bit. And I would love to have had this a while ago. So I would love more transparency out of the situation, knowing the details, and having open discussions like this helps all of us come together and understand the information. And I would love to be able to have a question and answer forum as well, so that there could be questions asked and discussion made. I just think that transparency breeds trust. And I want to be able to trust y'all with the legacy that is our beach, and it's our beach. Whether you own, whether you rent, whether you come up here as a vacationer, it's ours. And we just want that transparency, I think, is what I'm looking for the most. And I think we deserve it because, look how many people are here. We all care, right? So there's a reason why we're here, and there's a reason why we're talking. So that's all I have to say. I don't have a lot of funny things or interesting comments, but I just feel like our emotions are here, and I get it. I understand it. That's why I came up and told y'all who I am and how long I've been here. But we also have to be very due diligent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Who else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Brad Cheney, 124 Crab Street. Thank you for all you do. It's a tough job managing public towns and things. My only thought would be really echoing some of what they said. I understand the emotion, and I want this gentleman and that gentleman who are recently here. I've vacationed here many, many years, like many of you, like a child, had the opportunity to join, but I want you to have your place here. I'm not suggesting the town would ever be financially fragile. It's been well run for years. One of the reasons we came to Holden Beach was because of that. But I am in the camp of you've got to make the right financial decisions on this from front to back. Everybody says we'll figure out a plan, and you may have. But I've always told the people that work for me in the business I'm in, unless you can write it on a piece of paper and show it to me, is not a plan. And buying it and then planning is the wrong thing. I'm not suggesting you're doing that, I'm just saying, in the world of the business, when you're investing your own money, and many of you own businesses, you darn well need a plan before you either pull it out of your back pocket or go down to the bank to get it, right? It's not the opposite way. So appreciate your service, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir.
I'm John McIntyre, 246 Brunswick. We've been living here for about 18 years now. And I just got a couple of quick observations. Certainly, there's been a lot of emotional justification for keeping the pier presented tonight. And certainly, there's been information regarding access and so forth that I think are really important. The need for financials, something that makes sense financially is important as well. But I think the underlying assumption that I keep hearing from everybody is that if the town doesn't buy the pier, then the whole fabric of the community is going to crumble and the pier is going to automatically blow up and be splinters. And I just don't buy that. If the town deems it to be a very sound investment of taxpayer money, then they should go ahead and buy it. If there's a question at all on that, then they shouldn't. And there are other options for the pier out there, or if there are not other options for the pier, then there's a reason for it. It's interesting, I think, that everybody's talking about different ways to spend taxpayer money. I didn't hear anybody in the group get up and try to elicit funds from everybody else in the room to buy it as a private enterprise. And yet I'm sure with a few percent of everybody in this room's bank account, you could make a good run at making it a private thing. And I guess my point is, I think there's a lot of sound reasons to keep the pier emotionally and culturally. But, if you're not convinced that it's a good enough deal to invest your own money, then, it's kind of odd that you want to invest mine. So I think, it's very easy it's not easy, for the commissioners to decide they want to spend taxpayer money, but, we got to think about this as, is it worth spending our own money for? If it's not, we shouldn't be doing it, I think. And I guess at the end of the night, you guys are going to have at least half the people in the room hating it, so, whatever the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, yes, sir.
As I told Brian Derrico, 137 Charlotte Street. So I told my wife I've given 2 chances to speak, I'll do it. Listen, I hear the conversation around, what are we doing with taxpayer money? If the town doesn't buy this, okay, the town's going to lose taxpayer money, okay? If access goes away for the canal lots where people rent their properties, people aren't going to rent them, or they're going to rent them at a reduced rate. What's that going to do for taxes? You're going to get less. I would ask, if the town doesn't buy it and we limit beach access, reassess my property, because I don't think I should be paying property taxes in excess when I have to walk, half mile? 0.55 miles. I'll do it with you tomorrow. Okay, I'll do it with you tomorrow. So there's a secondary problem that's going to be created, and I don't think people are thinking through this. So, it's great. We got great tax revenue. Rents are up. People are paying more property taxes. It's a good deal for the city, but we're going to go backwards if we limit beach access and the town doesn't take advantage of this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who else? It's not even late yet. Yes, sir.
Jody Westfall, 112 Greensboro Street. The pier is almost directly across from our house. And purchasing it would be, in our opinion, a great idea. However, it's what you all decide to do with it. If we're going to do it and just put a can of paint on it and lease it out, I think that's a horrible idea. It's got to be planned out to where that's physically responsible, where we can actually pay for that coming in with revenue as much as going out with what we're purchasing that for and whatever improvements we have to make. But I agree 100% with Mr. Rogers. If I had the money, I'd buy the whole thing. I'd create like a boardwalk there with the restaurants, have everything there, even though it's a short little stretch of land. But it would be a completely, makes it more like a beach, a bigger beach. But it's just a small portion of it. But that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, last call. Seeing no one, hearing no one. All right, I guess we will, commissioners, unless you object, I'll declare this public hearing ended. Mr. Town Manager, Madam Clerk, are we in order to do that?
Yes, sir.
In agreement? Public hearing is closed, and we will turn our attention to the agenda item number 3, the consideration of going into executive session. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you read the required verbiage?
Yes, sir. Executive session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A5 to instruct the staff or agent concerning the negotiation of the price and terms of the contract concerning the acquisition of real property.
Okay, before I call for the vote, I'd like to explain to you in the audience, in executive session, no one is allowed, general public, to be in that session, and this Board of Commissioners and required staff will be in executive session to discuss what we had the public hearing about tonight. So I'm going to call for the motion which has been made and a second made, and now the question is, are you in favor of commissioners? Say aye if you are. Aye. Opposed, say no if you're against. We are now going to go into executive session, and we'll be there for a period of time unknown, and then after that, we'll come back into regular session. So, and we will be upstairs out of this room. If you'd like to wait in this room and have some fellowship, you're welcome to. That's entirely up to you. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. We're back into regular session, and I believe the proper procedure at this point is to go to the next item on the agenda, which is number 4, and discussion of possible consideration of contract to purchase real property located at 441 Ocean Boulevard West. Anyone want to speak to that? Mr. Hewitt, do you want to speak to it? Anybody? Commissioners?
I can't make a motion.
No. Ms. Pett, you gonna make the motion?
No, I am not. Make it, bro.
You chair this. I make a motion that we present the offer to purchase and contract for 441 Ocean Boulevard West.
Second.
All right, discussion. Who would like to speak to the subject?
I'll speak to the subject. I, excuse me, want to make it clear that by moving forward with making this contract, that in no way binds the town to actually buy the property. It's just the first step in the negotiation for the purchase of the property. I want to make that clear. The other thing I want to make clear is that I believe, as many people stated, the people that were in favor of getting the property, the people who are not, that we should look at this and only do it if it makes fiscal sense. Not based on emotion, not based on having your kid catch his first fish off the pier, but whether it makes perfect sense for the town. And so that's all I actually have to say on this topic.
Anyone else?
I fully agree with Mike.
Anyone else have anything to say? Hearing nothing are you ready to vote? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. All right, it's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Our counsel, legal counsel, have anything you want to say? Or Mr. Padilla?
I believe Heather has the contract, we're gonna just need to execute it before we send it over.
Okay. Are we going to, do that now? Okay, everybody in agreement with that? You're instructing the mayor to sign the contract, is that correct?
I think we're gonna have, Gerald sign this.
You gonna have Gerald sign this? All right, sign to me. Maybe it'll let up on me in the press a little bit. All right. Anything else? Motion we adjourn?
Motion?
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.